I'm not fooling anyone. Always going on and on. Can't you keep it to yourself for once? Oh, I think I found a new way out, way beyond your shadow doubt. And I can't breathe. Oh, I hope you're keeping count of all the times you let me down, and all the things you said out loud, the bullshit I could cry about. And I know we could be stronger now, and leave it up to fate somehow. But everything I do for me.
Sometimes and I can't seem to find a light between the walls I built for myself right in my mind. And then you came over and you showed me love that I never had seen before. And now when I got you, it's all gonna be alright. Thinking about all the things we did tonight, what a time to be alive. Just you and I, just you and I. Only you can put my fire out. You can turn it all around. You can lift me off the ground, so we can fly again, so we can fly again. Not to go out of my mind, and all I need right now is for you to stay the night. But if you keep saying that you've got to leave, then I'm gonna be alright. As long as you tell me that we ain't running out of time. Thinking about all the things we did tonight, what a time to be alive. Just you and I, just you and I. Fire out. You can turn it all around, and you can lift me off the ground, so we can fly again, so we can fly again. So we can fly again. So we can fly again.
close to the speed of light, special relativity provides us with a means of going to the stars.
In the air tonight, take over your mind. Let it hypnotize. Feel it in your skin. Slowly it begins. Like a drug.
chance to run. Leave behind the said and done. Figure out what's to come. Reasons, all the bigger things I can't ignore. I'm not getting what I came here for. Gotta get ahead of something more. So I think I found a new way out, way beyond a shadow of doubt. 'Cause I can't breathe, and I guess I could be stronger now and leave it up to fate somehow. But I'm doing this for me. Give it up, baby, I'm not fooling anyone. Always going on and on. Can't you keep it to yourself for once? Oh, I think I found a new way out, way beyond your shadow of doubt. And I can't breathe. Oh, I hope you're keeping count of all the times you let me down, and all the things you said out loud, the bullshit I could cry about. And I know we could be stronger now and leave it up to fate somehow. But everything I do for me.
I get lost sometimes and I can't seem to find a light between the walls I built for myself right in my mind. And then you came over and you showed me love that I never had seen before. And now when I got you, it's all gonna be alright. Thinking about all the things we did tonight. What a time to be alive. Just you and I, just you and I. Only you can put my fire out. You can turn it all around. You can lift me off the ground, so we can fly again, so we can fly again.
Oh shit, I've dropped a pen. Full screen that. And we're going to go live in 3, 2, 1. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Simplay Motorsport, here for rounds 5 and 6 of the Pro Series. We're still in Indianapolis, as always. We're back with some fantastic pro action. 11 drivers on the grid. We're hoping to get a few more out there. We're not sure on Phil. Sutty might make one race tonight. The only one we are certain on is Jamie Brazier will not be here in this one. We are missing the two-time champion of Gary Leach at the minute, so we hope he can get in a little later on as well. But I'm Matthew Duffin, joining the commentary box with my partner in crime. It's Sweden Sticky in your box once again on Thursday night. Kelly, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm very good. Thank you very much. And yourself? All good?
Yeah, very well, mate. What are we thinking of Indianapolis then? You was here last night as racing it. What are we thinking in terms of being here as a commentator tonight? What are we expecting?
Well, I'm expecting to have a little bit more excitement than I had in the race last night. For me, it was a little bit of a boring evening. Not that racing's ever boring, but I was in a couple of lowly positions. So, it was... I'm looking forward to commentating because, as usual on Pro Night, we've got a hell of a lineup with these drivers tonight. And right at this moment... it's going to be an interesting evening, and I got an idea who will be towards the front. But as usual, I think we've got some very talented drivers this evening.
Yeah, as do I. I think we've got a good group of drivers that can do a lot of things tonight, and it's going to be interesting to see what can happen. Only the 11 at the minute. I do believe we are losing X-Mark for race 2 due to a business
smashing
call.
My car up already. Did you see that?
I did, yeah.
Honestly, you lend him a car, and that's what he does to it.
We are losing X-Mark for a business call later on. We should be getting Sutti Apex in. That's brilliant news. As Mum and Dad have gone early, but I have to do the update. So we should be getting him in.
Yeah, the update. It seems that everyone's having PlayStation updates this week, and it doesn't take very long. So, hopefully we'll have Sutti in very shortly.
Hope so. We should have him in. It should be an interesting one to see who will get in and who won't at this moment in time. But we all got the 15-minute practice, then the 10-minute qualifying, and then we get into the race here tonight, and it's going to be a fascinating one to see who can do what tonight. Who's your money on? Because I look at the Mercedes tonight, and I don't feel the Mercedes is going to be as strong. We know it's not as strong in the Pro as what it is in the Pro-Am, but I don't fancy Fury, Peaceful or Monkey Boy's chances. Well, I'm looking at the Audi, I'm looking at the Porsche, I'm looking at the BMW.
Yes, I agree with that. Now, last night we didn't have any BMWs, so we had no idea what they were like. So we've got no idea what the BMW can do as we see Disco sliding it round, warming his tyres. We only had one Porsche with Smithy, and he was back in his Porsche. And I don't know how much time he got on track, but we only had the one Porsche last night.
Yes.
Where tonight we've got a couple of them in the hands of D Biggs, who's back off his cruise or whatever he was doing. The guy has more holidays than Jay McDonald, but he's back. We'll get a true representation of the Porsches tonight. Of course, 2 Prolapse ones as well. So 4 Porsches tonight, 2 BMWs. And I think we'll get a true representation of some of the other cars.
Getting hype when I aim up, elevating that game up, stepping up to the competition. Only first place, and that's how I'm living. I'm with it till they digging up my grave, eating all the things up on my plate. Game face when I step up into place. I was born and when I watched me elevate. When I watch me elevate. I was born and when I watch me elevate. I was born and when I watch me elevate. Watch me elevate. Yeah. All in when I show up. Whole place about to blow up. superior to that competition. I'm in first place, yeah, that's how I'm living. I'm with it till they digging up my grave. Eating all the things up on my plate. Game face when I step up into place. I was born and when I watched me elevate. When I watch me elevate. I was born and when I watch me elevate.
Right, we're going to go back in 3, 2, 1. Apologies then, ladies and gentlemen. We are back live. Apologies about that technical error we just had there. Not quite sure what happened, but we are back live and we are ready to go as always. Kelly, you was in the middle of saying something, I do believe.
Yeah, I don't know which bit I got cut off at. We were talking about cars, and we were talking about we haven't seen the BMWs last night, and we didn't see a lot of the Porsches last night. And I was saying the man who's going to struggle, and Gary, as and when he gets here, are the Renaults of Little Leach and of Gary. They're going to. I'm very interested to see if they can make it work, because me and Nicky at Prolapse, we were solid. You know, we were doing a solid job, but the Renault is just not suited to this track. It just doesn't have the power. So, be interested to see where they are. At the moment, we haven't got Gary in yet, but yeah, I think they're going to struggle tonight for sure.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Kelly, as well. I'm just going to give a quick run through of the current championship standings as we stand at the moment. Unorthodox then leads the way on 46 points. 15 points behind him is Andy, and what a job Andy's doing in that BMW this season. We've got Fury, maybe a few people's surprise package up in P3, but he's having a good time in that Mercedes once again in the Pro and in that Mercedes-Benz. It's a shame Liam couldn't be up there with him to really mount a challenge in the Constructors' title. Disco then is P4 with Jamie Brazier not here tonight in P5. Gary is then in P6 in the Renault with Mazda in 7th place. D Biggs is in 8th. X-Mark down in 9th place with Peaceful 10th. BT Targa 11th, tied on points with him. They're 4 points ahead of Sooty Apex, who's just ahead of Little Leach and Phil. Monkey Boy 15th, and that Bozzy Boy down in last. Phil at work tonight. That is why Phil isn't here. Shake and Bake Motorsport lead the Constructors and 8 points clear of Slingshot Motorsport, of Disco McDisco Face and Andy. Iron Brew Racing then are 8 points clear of Team Prolapse, while the Leachy Losers are down in P5, really struggling this year with that Renault. Just ahead of Wakasaki Racing and GQ Motorsport. Run Flat Racing bringing up the rear, and it really is a shame to see Gary and Craig go. Different car, but really struggling at the moment.
Yeah, and hopefully it'll come to them. And I do say hopefully with my own fingers crossed that it will come to them. And I mean, I've done a little bit of practice for next week, and as Gary gets in the session, so hopefully he'll be with us just a second. I've done a bit of practicing for next week, and it's looking a bit stronger. The Renault just isn't suited to these power tracks, and I think it's going to come into its own later in the season when the more tracks, that favour a bit of handling, as we see Little Leach having a bit of a moment. I think Gary and Little Leach are probably trying to work with the setup to try and make this thing as rapid as possible, where me and Nicky in Pro-Am we're just trying to make it as stable as possible, really. I'm interested to see what they're going to do, but I don't think they're going to have a particularly stellar night. Got to say, look, BT just coming into the pits, going well in I can't remember if that's my old Porsche. Well, I can't remember if I was 119 or 120. I can't remember.
I think it was 119. 119.
Yeah, I think that might be X-Mart's Porsche. So that's Nicky's old Porsche. Borrowed it out of the Prolapse garage, and seems to be going quite well in practice.
It does at the moment then, as we say, even into Audio Sport in the chat, our new sponsor, Disco Face, which is obviously yourself, Kelly. Disco Face, Nicky, Fury's granddad, Peaceful Stepdad, Lucas Roth, Jamie Brazier, Welshie, all in the chat. So welcome, 17 people watching, 14 likes. Let's get as many likes and thumbs up on the stream as we possibly can.
Don't mind.
Yeah, you say BT 9/10 off the back of Dan at the moment. I'm struggling to see what this Mercedes can do while we're on board Peaceful. I drive it a lot, and even I'm well off the pace compared to the likes of Dan that I've seen test. I am really struggling for pace. Another one who looks like he's struggling for pace is Mazda in the Audi. Kieran Argent, evening to you in the chat saying, where is everyone? Sutty on his way, hopefully. He's just joined, so that's good to see. No Phil, no Jamie, so that's 2 out. Liam, no Liam, I don't think. And that's it, isn't it? 3 drivers?
Could be.
Yeah, 3 drivers while Sutty comes in. That's 6. Yeah, 3 drivers at 16. So no 3 drivers. And I do believe we are losing X-Mark for race 2 due to a business call with America. Well, you don't need a business call. Just bring him to the track. Bit of hospitality. You know.
Yeah.
Come on, Ma. What are you doing?
We'll put him up. We'll put him up. Then come into Simplay Hospitality. We'll give him a glass of Ribena or whatever we've got here.
Yeah, exactly. Jamie.
Water.
Just to note people on Jamie Braze's situation, he's just commented there. His game got corrupt, it wouldn't let him load it, so he can't race until further notice. So he is currently re-downloading it. But I think he said when he was talking earlier that it's got 7 hours to re-download. And we all know Jamie's Wi-Fi. That isn't going to be a quick download.
That could be 7 days, couldn't it?
That could be from any time now to the end of the year for Jamie to download that game. And Sutty has got himself in. So with Sutty in, what can the Lamborghini do tonight, Kelly?
I've no idea. We'll have to see. The Lamborghinis last night, again, weren't all that, but different drivers, you know. It's hard to be, some of these cars, it's hard to, be representative of what they're actually doing. You're talking about the Merc. I mean, Maze Gamer was making it, he's in the Merc, wasn't he?
Yeah, Maze Merc, Kieran was in the Merc. They looked quick.
Rabbit Joe, they were all making it work last night. I mean, I know Maze was in the 24s race pace, was he not? So, so I mean, he was making it work. As we see Fury go 8th again, he's not at the sharp end in that Mercedes. We know that Peaceful. We were talking to Peaceful beforehand, and he was struggling.
Yeah, he's just found 0.3 of a second. As you're talking about him as well.
Yeah, but he was struggling, especially in turn 2. He was saying that he was really struggling with the Merc. So I don't know. It's a bizarre one, isn't it? I've never driven the car, so I don't know really what its characteristics are. But well, it'd be interesting to see if Fury can put it up a little bit higher than that. He's the man, probably the quickest Mercedes driver we've got tonight. So we'll have to see what he can do with it.
Yeah, we will as well. We'll have to see what Gary and Sutty can do as they are currently out on track. Now, what you will see is you see Andy ghosting there to Gary. That's because Gary joined the session late. Andy is ghosting. Now, we aren't in the normal online championship lobbies this tonight. We are in normal public lobby. Oh, well, I say public. It's set to private because of the fact that the American tracks don't have garages. You just get parked in the pit box and it can ruin your teammates' race. So that's why you're not seeing the team names and all them bits as normal. But the drivers have to pit on different laps. Otherwise, they will face a penalty. See you at Christmas, Jamie, says Fury's granddad. Presumably about the download. Come on, Fury, stop sandbagging, says Nicky in the chat. Yep. Andy,
Andy.
Yeah.
That's the wrong way.
Yeah, that is a strange one. Where's Disco? Down in 6th. D-Biggs back's in 5th at the minute. Fury's up to 3rd. So Fury's really starting to get there to grips of that Merc. Up to 9-10. In fact... Nope, sorry, I'm reading that wrong. 0.933 is BT off the back of Dan, and 0.993 is Fury off the back of Dan as well. So a couple of drivers come to the end of their laps. Yeah, very easy. Gary's gone up to 7th. As Andy's, Disco's just gone up to 2nd.
Yes.
It's a good lap from him. Who's on a lap then? There's a couple of drivers at the end. BT and Gary, I think, are the two on laps at the minute. Sutty didn't get set a time, so we don't know what Sutty's current pace is. And we'll have to find out as we go into the qualifying session then. But BT crosses the line. Any improvement from him? Yeah, a bit of an improvement, but keeps him P3. And Gary coming across the line behind, he stays P7. So that is your practice done. A pretty short practice for what you guys got to see. But we're going to head into the qualifying session when this loads. And there we go then. Into qualifying we go. As we say, a very good evening to Fury's mum. She says, evening all, go Fury. Go Fury indeed. What a shame Liam couldn't be with Fury. Because if Liam had the pace last year in that Merc that he showed in the Audi last year at times, I reckon Wakasaki Racing could be up there in the Constructors' Championship.
Absolutely. One thing we do have to chat about, which was a big talking point last night, is the length of this pit lane.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's so long. honestly, it's longer than a Jamie Brazier download. It's so long.
I love the analogy. No, it is.
Thank you.
Me and Dan made this point last night that Maze Gamer was had been lapped by all the cars. They'd finished their out laps and started their quick laps before he'd even got out the pit lane. Now, I know he left late, but he'd wasted like 4 or 5 minutes near enough in the pits. Now, yeah, all right, he took pole position. But still, it is one long pit lane. You need to be out there straight away, as these guys are. Disco's the second car on track. I can't quite see who's in front of him, as that is either BT Target or Xmark. But then it's Disco, and everybody's slowly starting to come out now. Still a fair few cars in the pits, but we're going to look at the average qualifying for the first time this season, as it's slowly now going to take shape throughout the rest of the year. And Dan has 1 pole position to his name, as does Gary131. So does Peaceful Explosion and Andy, all with a pole position to their name at the 4 qualifyings we've done so far. So everybody's sharing them around at the minute. Dan hasn't been off the front row yet in qualifying 1, and based off his practice pace, as Disco loses the rear there, based off Dan's.
Easy to do just there.
Yeah,
that's the easy spot for it there.
Yeah, the S is very tricky, especially to lose the rear. Worst average qualifier is currently, based off those who have done 2 qualifications, Xmark qualifying P12 in Q1, so not the best qualifying results for Xmark.
That is my car, Xmark. And just seeing in the chat, Kieran said, you need to have a word here, guys, about your car. I hope you don't want it back. Well, no, I don't want it back. Because, Kieran, we're giving you a chance to have some good results. So that's why we don't want those cars back. Don't worry, the Renault will come into its own later in the season, Kieran. Don't you worry, my friend. As we have an on board here, shall we just quickly? Long straight to Brickyard. We're going the wrong way round, Matthew, at the Brickyard for its normal configuration. Very similar to the old F1 circuit. Down loads of gears, 90-degree turn into turn 1. Turn 2, a bit of a hurry up and wait kind of turn. Turn 3, bit of nothing really. But watch you don't overrun into turn 4. Pick up the apex. Second gear in the Renault. Third in this one. Chicane, lovely chicane. You can hop through, lovely, but do watch the track limits. Back straight. A little bit of a back straight, kind of a blip down through here. As I was just saying, it's a configuration close to the GP track, but not quite the same as they used to race. The Formula 1 drivers used to call it Mickey Mouse anyway. I don't think there's an awful lot of keen people on this track. Through the midfield S's now, and hug the corners. This is a corner that you think you go wide on, because you get very close to the grass, but it's quite an easy corner. Out towards the banking now, and you start to touch the banking just a little bit before you get into a right-hand turn just there. Tricky section, but can be rewarding. Now, as you come up to the left, the pit lane entry is just here, but you won't see it because it just drops away on the right-hand side. Quite difficult to sight it. Into the last corner, flat scat in the rain. This is treacherous, but luckily no rain. Don't quite meet the banking as the old GP track did, and we're across the line. If you're quick, you're in the 124s. If you're not, you're in the wall.
Yeah, exactly. And like you say, it doesn't quite meet the banking. Ever since Ralph Schumacher's incident, I do believe they've not quite met the banking. Back in Formula 1 back in the day. There's 2 people currently watching my personal stream. Guys, head over to Simplay Motorsport and leave a like there. That's where all the action and drama that you see on my personal stream is kicking off, just with better graphics, I suppose. As D-Big's currently the pole sitter at the minute on provisional pole, ahead of his teammate by a tenth and a half so far. And everybody's trying to get their first laps in. Fury hasn't yet left the pit lane.
He needs to get on with it. As we've said before, and you guys said last night in the stream, it's only a 10-minute qualifying, so you need to get on with it, especially, and I think it's kind of crossover here for hards and softs. I think both are working on most cars. They certainly were both working on the Renault last night. It's kind of crossover temperatures, but if you're going out on the hards, then you really need to get a couple of laps under your belt to get your tyres up to temperature. And Fury, as you say, still in the pits. Anybody who's in the pits, including Maz, is running the gauntlet, really, because we're halfway through this session already.
We are, as we say, evening to PN Motorsport Gaming, evening to him, and challenge accepted, says Kieran Argent to you, Kelly. Says challenge accepted on that one, as we are then towards the halfway point of this qualifying session, just underneath it now, and Fury has only just got out the pit lane, so he's really going to struggle now to get on with this. Now, the pit window is an interesting one tonight because we have changed it slightly. It is 20% to 70%, so the pit window is going to be an interesting talking point, Kelly, tonight, with a bit shorter.
Yep. Yes, indeed. So something to look out for. The pit opens when then? 20% on 20 would be.
So the end of lap 4, the pit window opens.
End of lap 4.
The
And
end
must
of
shut
lap
at 16 then.
Lap 14.
Lap 14.
From
Right,
what
Joel.
I've just worked out, lap 4 to lap 14 is the pit window. So an interesting one to see then, changing a little bit. And obviously,
Yes, indeed.
I'll have to attack. I did forget to post that for the drivers. I'll have to do it now.
As we're on board, as said, with Gary, 2 times champion, is changing car for both him and his brother this year. And as I said, I think they're going to struggle. And Gary currently in 10th, his brother currently in 7th, as Gary's backed out of that one, and he's going to struggle to. It might be a setup change and go out again for a quick one. So we'll see. But his brother Little Leach in 7th. At the moment, as I said, I think these guys are going to struggle tonight, but I do think the Renault will come into its own later in the season. So they'll be a force to be reckoned with when the tracks suit more of a planted car. So where are we looking at? My tip for a really good team this year, and yours as well, Matt, I believe. Andy and Disco are currently 3rd and 4th. Disco leading Andy on this one at the moment, so they're certainly in the mix. So at the moment it's Shake and Bake 1 and 2 at the moment, and what they call themselves now?
Slingshot
Motorsport in 3 and 4. No, as BT has just split those two actually.
There we go then.
In the Prolapse Porsche, and so BT got a bit of form tonight, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's Jamie Brazier in the chat saying that it was 2005 that Ralf Schumacher had the incident, and 07 they raced at Indianapolis till before they went away from America, and even then there was a bit of a chicane to make it a bit different back in 07.
Who needs Wikipedia? We've got Jamie on it.
If me and Kelly don't know it, Jamie Brazier knows it.
Jamie does.
And
absolutely.
That is an interesting. We're going to keep our eyes on this one. So I like the Indy road course, and I prefer it actually to the Kotu, the track that we have on the F1 nowadays.
If I'm being quite honest, I don't like either of them. To be honest, I don't think either of them is very good. To be honest, I prefer Daytona. To be honest, Daytona Road to these, but each their own, isn't it?
Oh no, I'm talking in terms of F1. I don't think F1 would do Daytona.
No, I don't think they would either. To be fair, bring back Long Beach. That'd be the way. Dan, first one in the 23s, is he? Just gone faster?
Only one
first
in
man in the 23s?
The only man in the 23s in practice, and now he's done a 23.8 in qualifying. I think he may as well sit in the pits. As Sutty is still down in last place at the moment.
Yes.
Who's in Disco's in the pits, as is Exmort. They may be done, because the pit lane is that long. I don't think they're going to get out for another lap, so I think they're done then.
Sutty.
Wow, excuse me, Sutty's just gone up to P4.
Oh, that was a cracker from Sutty. Hello. Sutty's woken up.
Yeah, he's on the pad tonight because he's had a bit of family around, so he's on the pad. Yeah. So what can he do tonight?
We can kind of see that the way his front wheels were moving very quickly from one look. Yes, you can see them kind of flicking around a little bit, which kind of oozes a pad style drive, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So this is a form we were waiting for from Sutty. So let's see if he can translate that into a good result.
Yeah, will we be able to speak to Sutty on the podium tonight? He's not had race wins for all of last season. In fact, all the season before he didn't take a win. He is on 8 race wins, though, tied with Holty at the minute. He is on 8 race wins. If he was to win a race, that would be race win number 9, and that would be where he wants to be, starting to pull away from the rest. Dan tonight can go with, if he wins 2 races, can go with a 1 race win of Jamie Brazier. And let's just go to Andy a second, because we forgot to mention it at race 2 last week. Andy, in race 2 last week, made his 50th appearance, and we forgot to mention that last week on air. So congrats to Andy on making his 50th Simplay appearance competitively. No one really close to that in the Pro. The next closest Pro driver is Mazda, who's making his 41st and 42nd race start tonight. The next man to get his 50th race appearance will be Keeg, but that'll be on the Clios on a Monday night.
Yep. Bit close on the track limits there, Andy, but I'm hoping he's on a hot lap because he's down in 7th at the moment with his teammate in 2nd with a cheeky little lap that he's dropped in there to take him 2nd and split the 2 Porsches. So I don't know if Andy's on a quick one. Is he? Have you got your phone on the phone app going? Is he
yes,
making
I do.
Good progress?
No progress through Sector
right.
1 at all, but a personal best in Sector 2.
Okay, we'll see what Andy can do. D Biggs is in the pits, so he's done. I think Dan is still circulating because he's not in the pits yet, and so is Fury. I'm hoping Fury puts in a better one as well. He's got more pace than that. We say that, mind. The whole field is only covered by monkeys. Up till Maz in 12th place, only 2 seconds covers the whole field.
Yeah, which isn't too bad. Now, one of the guys has just crossed the line. Andy crosses the line and stays in 7th, so that is not the best qualifying lap for Andy at all there. Fury's done, so it is just Dan.
He's done.
Out there, so Dan then will get his 2nd pole position of the season.
He's backed out of it. We're done.
And it is going to be D Biggs in 3rd place, so not quite the 1-2 they was looking for, but it's Dan from Disco McDisco Face then in 2nd place, with D Biggs in P3. What a good qualifying if you're Gary. Yeah, P4. Yeah. Good lap from Gary there. Shame his teammate couldn't replicate that down in P8. Sutty Apex as well. Good shout out for Sutty Apex in P5. Not a bad job from him. BT Targa down in 6th place as well, with Andy 7th, Lidleach in 8th. Peaceful Explosion down in 9th, and is that where he expects to be tonight? We'll have to wait and see with Fury. I'm sure he would have hoped for a little bit more down in 10th place. Xmart is in P11 before we get to Mazda, who I'm sure will be very disappointed with that one in 12th place, and Monkey Boy bringing up the rear of 13th then. Kelly, so who's your money on for the race win in this one?
Well, it's hard to see past Dan, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? The guy's on fire, isn't he? But I think Disco's going to give him a run for his money, you know. Watch out for D Biggs, and again, watch out for Sooty as well. I think Andy's going to push himself further up the queue, and so is Fury most probably. But I suppose it all depends on the start. I think Disco's going to give Dan a run for his money. I know he wants to, doesn't he?
Yeah, I know he wants to as well. Evening to the wall, evening to Paul McBurney as well, and Peaceful saying that Sooty's on the pad. 24 people watching. Get them thumbs ups in, get subscribed to the channel if you are new, and get your tips in the chat for who you think's going to win this one. A few people, I'm sure Andy and Fury and Master will be disappointed with the qualifying, but I'm sure Gary and Sooty will be well over the moon with theirs.
Absolutely, yeah. As I say, good effort from Gary, but then he's a double champion. So, you know, it's kind of what he does.
Yeah, exactly. He's not a 2-time champion for nothing.
No,
Smithy,
indeed. So,
sorry, Smithy in the chat saying, go on, Sooty, lad. Sooty, send it turn 1, says Kieran. Well, there's a possibility if he gets a good start. This could be an interesting one. And pit window lap 4 to 14. 20 laps around this Indianapolis road course circuit. The Brickyard. We are just waiting for these drivers to sort their final tweaks out, make sure their pit strategies and fuel is all in the car. And when it says sinking...
Sorry, I don't think you can actually see it from here, but there is a line of the original bricks across the start-finish straight, which is, it's
just a bit further forward into than the start line. Yeah,
don't think I could.
No, go on board. Yeah. Go on board, Dan, on his roof.
On Dan's roof. Let's try and see if we can. Yeah, there you go.
There it is.
The line of bricks. As we're getting ready to go.
We are getting ready to go. We are syncing up. We are looking like we're going to get ready. The lights are coming on. The revs are starting to rise. The lights are on the cars. It's green here. D-Biggs didn't look like he got away well. And Sooty Apex has pulled into the middle of the track already. Disco, side by side, door to door, rubbing with Dan. Already giving him a bit of argy-bargy as he comes into turn 1, making life difficult. Watch for Sooty though, as here it comes. The Sandit manoeuvre up the inside into turn 2, into turn 1, into P2, and now he can challenge Dan. And now it's Gary round. Gary's off in the gravel in the background. I think D-Biggs got caught up as well. Yes, he did. What carnage, but Sooty he's dropped to P3 as Disco and Sooty side by side into the chicane. They come in and just tap on the rear, but they get through cleanly.
Yes, indeed. Time for you to breathe, Matt. I thought Disco had got that in the start. As we see one of the Prolapse Porsches going backwards and around, it could be X-Smart, I think it is. Sooty still sending it. He's trying to send it. He sent the post right over. And cracking start from Sooty. And we saw a proper Sooty send it, but Disco is right in there. And as I said, I thought he'd had the jump on Dan, but Dan obviously had the legs. Look at BT in third and Little Leach.
Yeah,
Look at Little Leach going on.
He's coming up the inside of BT Targa just to say, come onto the oval, and then Little Leach gets that job done. And you're right, Kelly. It looked for all money as here comes Andy on BT Targa. And I think Andy gets that one done as well. Yes, he does. Up into P5. For all money, it looked like Disco got past unorthodox here, but where did Sooty come from? Kieran in the chat saying, told you, what a send it, says Welshie, and Welshie, that's how you do it. Turn one, and that's a slow Peaceful, Peaceful very slow, and you couldn't make it up. Season 2 Fury at this corner ended up in a fence and lost his rear wheel at the end of the first lap. Season 4,
it gets worse.
Season 4 Fury off at that corner and didn't lose a wheel, but there is major damage to a lot of these drivers. Sooty's off.
Disco was the one involved in all that.
I wonder if Disco was the one who would span then.
I don't know, it might have been. Yeah, it could well have been. I just looked over to the stream and it's already gone through the stream, because our stream's a little bit, what we're saying is a little bit behind the stream, but absolute carnage. I have to look that one back. Lap 2 that was, and yeah, that was a bit crazy, that, wasn't it?
Apologies, sorry, I was just taking a drink there as you said that one, Kelly. No, that was absolutely mental. And that's allowed Andy up into second with Little Leach third. BT Targa is now fourth. Gary, after a lap 1 spin, is up to fifth. And Disco is on a comeback as he's just got past Mazda. But look at the damage to his car.
Look, Fury is absolutely mullered as well. He's getting out of the way. Peaceful. I saw Fury tap the back of Peaceful. Didn't
it look like Peaceful was slow to you? Because I thought Peaceful looked slow.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Fury was gaining on him. Peaceful caught him, but I think Disco might have only spun before that. Sooty into the pits. He's obviously got lots of damage because Sooty was in there as well. And a lot of these guys, it's all going on in the first couple of laps.
Sooty Apex and Disco with Disco Face are going to have to pit again because you've got to pit in that pit window. So they've got to pit again. As Sooty there pulled into the wrong pit box there as he's got to keep going down.
We had that last night. Or has he missed it?
I think he's missed it.
He's missed it.
Yeah.
You see some reverse lights coming on.
Oh dear. When it rains it pours, we said about Dean last night, and it must still be pouring just up north with Sooty Apex as he reverses back to his pit box. In now comes Peaceful Explosion as well, and all these guys have got to pit again. Fury in, they've all got to pit twice here. What a nightmare.
Yes, indeed. And there's lots of them in the pits now. There was multiple incident, multiple damage on that incident. So all those guys, as you say, I mean, this is their race ruined, isn't it? You know, because the length of this pit stop and having to do it twice, as we see Fury getting into his box there. Sooty's away reasonably quickly, considering he had to reverse back up through the thing. Disco is away as well. Yeah, so. If these guys have got to pit again, which you're saying they have, and I don't doubt you, as we see Andy's coming round to lap Disco. Look.
Yeah, so Dan's just lapped them. Andy's coming around to lap them, as is BT, who's now up into P3, and Little Leach in fourth. Gary is still fifth, ahead of Mazda then. Where is Mazda in the background? He's a bit far behind Gary. There he is, look. So Gary made up from his lap 1 incident, but did Sooty and Disco have a coming together then? We saw Disco round at the last corner. Peaceful, I started to lose it. Fury clipped me as a result. Disco had already spun, he said. Fury as well saying that, not happy, not had nowhere to go. That's racing at times, isn't it, really, I suppose?
Yes, it is, mate. I'm having to write stuff this week, and that's really difficult.
I've
got to multitask. What's that all about?
Hey, you see my trouble. You got a Toy Story notebook?
I haven't got a Toy Story note, but I've got an
shame.
R2-D2 one here somewhere, but I haven't
there we
found
go.
it in time. But
Xmart has just come into the pits now, Kelly. He's going to have to pit again as well because the pit window opens at the end of this lap. So Xmart has to pit. He couldn't keep going for that one extra lap. He's got to pit again. So is Disco Sutty, Peaceful and Fury. And Peaceful and Fury, we look at Xmart, but Peaceful and Fury are just coming out the pit lane as Dan's nearly coming round to lap them for a second time. There's Peaceful, there's Fury. Look in the background. There's Dan. Oh, no, don't look in the background. There's Dan. Look in the background. There's Andy.
Yeah, absolutely. And the only man who's really staying out of trouble here is the leader. He's, because he got away and out of trouble, he's the only one that's having an uneventful race, really. Because remember where Andy started, and remember the troubles that BT's had, and so on and so forth. So, it's useful when you're out front, isn't it?
Yeah, it is useful when you're out front. D Biggs, the first man to make his pit stop at the end of lap 4, so he is in, and that one is done for him. Sutty and Disco have got past Xmart, but they need to pit again, as does Xmart, who is in the pits, and this is taking a while. I think he's just away now, as Mazda has got a very fast... Oh, now what's happened to Gary? Because he looks like he's had a moment somewhere, and that's Mazda getting past Gary then.
Yeah.
Sutty is a lapped car in all of this. Sutty will want to clear Mazda to try and make progression in this race, knowing that he's got to pit again with Mazda. So Sutty then will want to clear him and move on his way. But Kelly, this has really thrown a spanner in the works in tonight's racing. I said off air, I said Pro-Am was that good last night that the pros are going to be terrible. We've had that at the end of lap 1.
Yes, we certainly have, and you're quite right. It's Pro-Am boys were some great driving last night. Some really respectful, good quality driving from a lot of the field last night, and tonight, well, yeah. We'll see.
Not so much
not
then.
So, not so great.
Will Mazda let Sutty through to get Sutty clear? D Biggs, you see that white sign just at the end of the wall? That is the pit limiter for D Biggs. That's where he can remove his limiter and go on his way. As Gary then, at the end of lap 5, is going to come in for his pit stop then. And is he going to try and cover off the pit stop of D Biggs? We'll have to wait and see. But Biggs has nearly lost a lap to Gary there just by pitting for... and don't forget, Biggs and Gary had an off at the beginning of turn 1 at that one as well.
It looked like Biggs' car was damaged, so he probably struggled through to get himself in the right window to make that pit stop as Sutty gets past Maz to unlap himself.
Yeah, he can go on his way now, as that is Monkey Boy coming past Gary for position. Obviously, a lot of drivers still to pit. Pretty much everyone, bar D Biggs and Gary, have pitted then. Who's that in the background of Monkey Boy? That would look to be... Is that Peaceful? Wasn't quite sure. It was Xmart, I think, coming through to unlap himself on Gary. Yeah, it is. Look, and he has still got to pit again.
Car.
Yeah.
Look at it. Looks like a Nissan Micra when they do that to it. Look at it. I think if Mickey, if you're still listening, Xmart needs a Prolapse spank.
Yeah.
In Prolapse office, because look what he's done to that car.
Yeah,
honestly.
he has crumbled that one up. Safe to be said there is Andy then 9 seconds behind Dan. He's got BT Targa 3 seconds behind, and I thought that's not Andy on Dan. No, that's Andy on D Biggs. I was going to say 9 seconds. Where's Dan lost it? That in the background is BT Targa for position on Andy as well. So that's that gap. Then you see Little Each just coming onto the start finish straight for 4th place as Andy gets past D Biggs then to put a lap on him. And Master is way down on Little Each. Little Each then P4. Not a bad showing, and it has got a healthy gap over Mazda as well.
Yeah, and his car looks mint. Absolutely mint.
Yeah, looks brand new. Gary got out ahead of D Biggs and is about 8 seconds in front of D Biggs. So that battle can go on its merry way then. So Gary will just be in front of Andy on track, who's just lapped D Biggs. And here he is, look, coming down to the S's there. That's Dan in front of him and Fury behind him. Fury last and a lap down.
Yeah.
Gary 7th and a lap down as well. In fact, Fury's possibly 2 laps down. And has to pit again.
A long way back.
Well, and has to pit again. What a nightmare for Fury and Peaceful. This has been terrible.
6.
Yeah, terrible start to their evening. They'll probably be the ones to qualify. 13 drivers started this race, which means the top 6 can't qualify for the next one. Well, everybody that's below the 6 are the guys that's all pitted with damage. So Gary and D Biggs, the ones who met the pit limit, the other guys aren't. So a bit crazy for them guys. The fact that they've got to repit again, as that is Andy starting to pull away from D Biggs, but he's losing time to his rival Dan out front, who's just on a 24.8. So a good lap from an off dubs. Was on board, Andy?
Yes, we are. Let's jump on board with BT. There's Andy in the distance, the yellow dot in the distance. So no real close battles on track at the moment. There's some people in the same space, but who's that? That's Biggs, isn't it? So if we go on to Big Z. There you go. You can see the back of Andy. This is not for position. D Biggs is a lap down on Andy. Andy in second, D Biggs in eighth. So, as I say, there's no real battles on track at the moment. No one's close for position. A little bit of track limits, D Biggs. And, so as Monkey Boy's into the pits, look at this pit lane. Look, this is the beginning of it. So, getting in the pit lane doesn't take very long. As we see Monkey Boy now, he had very little damage, so you're hoping that this will be a reasonably quick stop. Yeah, not bad at all. And now, look, you can't. There's the vanishing point. And, you can't even see the end.
And that's the thing is you cannot see where the pit exit ends. You cannot see where the limiter point is to come off.
There's the brakes.
Gary is coming round towards the final corner now. So as Gary's getting to that final corner, here he is, look. You still see that white dot slowly going up the start straight of Monkey Boy.
It's painful.
You still can't see the limiter line. All you can see is the polystyrene advertising boards of the braking zones. That little white bit there that he's got nothing on is the pit limiter line. There's Gary then. He will have that one done. And will D Biggs get past Monkey Boy? That's a big question, because D Biggs is coming down the start straight. See, Gary's gone in the distance. That was Fury behind Gary, but Gary again a lap in front of Fury. D Biggs is just there, you saw coming into turn one, so he's behind Monkey Boy, but only by 3 seconds then. Disco's 4 seconds behind D Biggs, but Disco, Sooty, X-Mark, Peaceful and Fury have to pit again. As Disco's lost the rear.
Disco has a moment. That's not hot stuff. Another Disco reference there.
Yeah, exactly. No,
I haven't done any yet.
No. I feel for Disco, I really do, because he got a really good launch. And I don't know what happened to that start. That start was very weird, because he was alongside, bit of door rubbing with Dan.
Yeah.
And it was as if the second phase of the start, he just didn't get it.
Yeah, that's it. Like, he didn't have the legs, because I'm sure he had the start, but it was another one we kind of need to go back and, if we had another angle at it, we could see. But I thought he had him. But
is Gary unhappy with Fury? Because he's just gave him a flash of the lights there. Now, Fury looks like he's got past Gary, and he's starting to pull away. Now, is Gary unhappy at the way Fury got past, or what? Because I'd imagine the Mercedes will just pull from that Renault, as Dan then comes into the pits at the end of lap 9 to do his mandatory pit stop. So drivers unlapping themselves now. Will Andy come in at the same time? He's not. He's going to take this race lead then. And the trouble for Danny here, Kelly, is there's that much traffic of lapped cars. They don't have to get out of the way. That could hurt Dan.
Yes, and of course we run the rules that as per endurance series that the back markers are not obliged. There's no blue flags. They're not obliged to get out of the way. Although there was some talk last night about once they have the lead cars past them, if they should be really fighting back.
Yeah, there was a few bits with DJ Phil, I think it was, who was fighting drivers when I think it was Rabbit Joe came to lap them, and we saw Rabbit Joe on the stream. We did, yourself as well.
Yeah, we did see mine. Yeah,
where
mine was
Phil
on the stream as well.
was fighting people. Now, all right, you don't have to let them past. But when we say you don't have
a bit of a moment, then
he didn't. He had a bit of a. When we say you don't have to let them past, it means that they can come off the racing line to get around you. It doesn't mean you can block them until the cows come home. Now, obviously, that's something that I think the admins are going to have to look at and review, and maybe put a post out saying about the drivers blocking lapped cars that are lapping. I mean, it's not that you can block them. It's that it just makes it easy that instead of you having to be the slower car coming off the racing line, the leaders have to go around you like you see in endurance championships and endurance racing. Andy then has a 24-second lead over Dan, and that is definitely not enough to get ahead.
No. And, I mean, is that just a little bit of a grey area that maybe we need to sharpen up on? Because it's a difficult one, isn't it? We just seen Sooty unlap himself a couple of laps back, and he's definitely was quicker than...
Yeah,
I can't remember, he was
quicker than Master.
From.
Now, I've got no problem with them drivers being in front of them drivers and lapping themselves. But again, that's the normal rule, isn't it? If you've got the pace to unlap yourself, do it. As long as you can pull away. If you can't pull away, let the leader back through is the normal rule.
Yeah.
I'm all for that. It's what we saw last night with Phil, who at times looked aggressive in defending from drivers, and that was a problem.
Yes.
As that's BT in the pits. Down the pit lane he comes in as Mazda gets through. We're on that to the beginning of lap 11. They've got to pit by the end of lap 14 here. As we see D-Biggs starting to attack the back of Monkey Boy. Now this is for position. As Sooty Apex is 14 seconds behind the pair, but Sooty has to pit again.
Oh, look, as Monkey got deep into that corner, D-Biggs has got to run at him now down the inside, and he's going to come up for the right-hander, but yeah, no, he has. I thought Monkey was pulling away from him a bit with that Merc power, but he hasn't. That's job done for D-Biggs there. He, yeah, that going wide for Monkey just really hurt him, and D-Biggs came in and capitalised on that.
He lost his momentum then as Andy's just come into the pits. I saw there at the end of lap 11. So Andy's into the pits. Dan, 17 seconds I think it was behind Andy, so Dan should pretty much have where he is now. I reckon he should have that
easy.
one, even if Andy has the quickest pit stop of his life. Look how long it's taking for him to get to his pit box. So let's keep our eye on that white dot in the pits. It's never going to get out ahead of Andy, and Little Each will take lead of this race.
Look at that, a Renault out front.
Yeah, and look at Sooty, trying to close him down and get on the back of him. So Sooty's really dropped Mazda. Mazda is 10 seconds behind Dan. So Sooty's really got on with it and dropped Mazda. And Andy having a bit of a slow one here then. But so where will Sooty come back out? Lap 12 of 14. So these guys have got to pit before lap 14. And it's not their lap 14, it's the leader's lap 14. As Mazda comes in as well. Interesting tactic for Mazda. He was around Gary when Gary pitted. He was just in front of Gary when Gary pitted. So where is Gary 131 then in relation to Mazda? Oh, now that one could be a bit tighter depending on how well Mazda's pit stop is. BT has jumped Andy then.
Yes, he has.
Interesting for BT Targa. He's jumped Andy by some margin there. Mazda is away and Gary is where? Oh, now this one is going to be very tight. I think Gary's going to have the legs over Mazda then. Mazda is just coming to... Andy.
That's right up on the way out.
Yeah, really messed his exit up there. Mazda's just coming to the pit line now. I think Gary should have that one done because there's Mazda, there's Gary. Gary's got ahead of Mazda then, so the undercut working at the minute. Can Mazda get ahead of Gary while Gary's having to fight? And this is my problem, look. Gary is stuck behind Fury, and look, he's having to fight. Fury now lets him go. That's the sensible thing. Now, if Fury is quicker, to pull away, he has every right to do so. But he's got past Gary once and didn't pull away, so that's wise from Fury to let Gary back past. There's Mazda then, just behind Fury, for position with Gary. That gap is 2 seconds. Can Mazda get a job done and get himself up into P5? That behind is D-Biggs for position as well. So he's got a bit of work to do to catch up to Mazda. And Gary, he won't have if Mazda loses it there. Fury's lost it, and he's still got to pit again.
That corner again, as I said, that one is a tricky corner there. I don't know what... I mean, you come down from speed to a 90-degree left-hander, but then you do the same to a right-hander on a start-finish straight. But I don't know if there's just a less grip there or what, but it's a tricky little corner, that one, that we see people keep spinning at.
Little Each coming out of the pits then. He's lost out to BT Targa, and he's just lost out to Andy, but that one could be close as they come into the braking zone at turn 1. No, Andy has that one done. So Little Each feeds back into P4 where he was. He didn't get the jump on Andy. Andy got the undercut on him, but BT's got the undercut on both of them as Peaceful and in for his stop at the end of lap 12. So that is him in for his. Fury has got to make his, so has Sooty Apex. In fact, Fury's in now as well. Sooty Apex has got to come in, so does Xmart. And that is the only two people left to pit, Xmart and Fury. Xmart and Sooty then.
Yes, so been an eventful 13 laps up until now. Another 7 to go. So another 7 to go. So, but I think we've had the best of the action. But hey, who knows? But it's been some incidents, that's for certain, sure.
There really has. This probably the closest battle on track. Andy and Little Each just separated by 2 seconds, near enough. Gary 13 seconds behind Little Each then, and Mazda's a couple of seconds behind Gary, so they're trying to come together. As D-Biggs as well is trying to get on the back of Mazda. Sooty Apex is catching Monkey Boy, but he's not really got a fight with that because he has got to pit at the end of this current lap that Dan is on. Now, where is Xmart and where is Sooty? Let's go to Sooty first. So Sooty's coming down this lap, so he's got to pit by the end of the next lap because that's Dan in the background. So he's got to pit by the end of the next lap. Where's Xmart? X-Mart's got to pit by the end of this current lap then to make sure that he complies with the rules of pitting in that pit window. Evening, lads. Pro Laps Unicorns leading again, says Maze Gamer in the chat. Dan is, he's led the way, but not without its dramas, Maze, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I think X-Mark's Porsche is now about 6 inches shorter than everybody else's because it's been smashed both ends. And well, Nicky's going to have to repaint that one and do a crash repair on it because it's ruined.
Sooty Apex didn't pit, so he has got to pit at the end of the next lap. Has Sooty? Because he would
said X-Mart's. Sorry, go on.
X-Mart's got to go in now. Sooty has technically just started the end of what is Dan's 14th lap. Although Dan's just started lap 15, Sooty is in front of Dan on tracks. That is technically the end of Dan's 14th lap. X-Mart has to pit now, otherwise they could face a penalty for not completing their stops. And I don't think X-Mart has gone in.
No, I don't think he has. No, he hasn't. So I don't think he got that memo.
No.
But Andy has caught BT at a rate of knots. So if BT, look at Andy homing in on him. Look.
He is really, isn't he? He's really making a move, and here he goes up the inside towards turn 1. Here comes Andy then looking for it up the inside of BT Targa, who gives him plenty of room, and that BMW gets the job done. And BT, a bit of a wiggle for BT there on exit. Thought he was going to lose it, Managed to keep it all together and pointing in the right direction, but he's down to P3. Andy up to second place. Doesn't Andy look good this season now? He's in that BMW. Looks back at his best.
Yeah, he is. He is looking good in that, and as I said, it's an exciting team, him and Disco, and so we're expecting. Well, they are doing good things,
Now, Gary's pulled away. Gary's pulled away from Mazda, looking at the time screens, and Mazda's got to deal with D Biggs coming on the back of him. Now that's for the last qualifying place as well. Whoever finishes 6 will not qualify. Now Sooty hasn't pitted either, so Sooty and X-Mart under investigation for not pitting under the pit window. Then that could be a slam dunk for them too. And I think the minimum is a mandatory drive-through, so like a 30-second time penalty.
Wow.
But hey, I'm not the stewards. The stewards will take a look at that one for sure. So, back to BT Targa then, who's 3 seconds ahead of Little Each, but has lost out massively over this lap, Kelly, in terms of ground to Andy. Andy's really gone here.
Yeah, I say he caught BT really quite quickly, didn't he? And Andy's on fire here with this BMW. He's coming up to lap X-Mart, so he's flying. So where have we got Maz? Maz is.
He's lost out to D-Biggs now, actually. Yeah, he's lost out to D-Biggs.
He's been overtaken by D-Biggs,
yeah. Master's lost out to D-Biggs here then, and that's put him down to 7th. D-Biggs now will not be able to qualify for race 2. Can D-Biggs hunt down the 12 seconds he needs to get to Gary 131 in the next 4 laps? Probably not. That's a bit of a tall order. Sooty then in the background, trying to gain on the back of Monkey Boy now. With Sooty under investigation, he needs to pull as much time as he can. The bonus for him is X-Mart's under investigation for the same thing, so Sooty won't come last. But at the same time, he'll want to finish ahead of Disco, Peaceful and Fury. I think that the stewards are going to find an interesting one then to have a look at this one here, because rules are rules at the end of the day, Kelly.
As you said, it's most probably a stat slam dunk, isn't it? Because those are the rules, and I believe we don't do the significant damage thing in Pro, do we? Because Pro-Am is significant damage. That rule still stand for this season?
That rule still stands for this season for the Pro-Am, and the pros have that window to pit, and they have to pit at least once inside that window. Fury, Disco and Peaceful did. X-Mart and Sooty didn't, so it'll be whatever the penalty is, you'd imagine, for not pitting as Monkey Boy.
It might be death by firing squad is the standard penalty for that one, I think.
Monkey Boy made a mistake coming onto this back part of the track there, Kelly, just as Sooty come round the corner. So Sooty really hot on Monkey Boy's heels now. That's Dan behind them, who's about to lap them again and put them down onto lap. I mean, what lap Sooty on? Sooty's a lap down and on lap 16. Monkey Boy lost it again. And Sooty clips the back of Monkey Boy's car there then. And now Sooty on his way.
Yeah.
Can he gain time over Monkey Boy?
Yeah. Remember this guy?
No. He's gone, hasn't he?
No idea.
To be fair to Dan, Disco got a better start than Dan. Second phase, it looked like Dan got the better start. And I think we got robbed of a race. We didn't see what happened with Disco and Sutty to fall off the pace of Dan, but I think we got robbed of a race. Maybe this should have been the battle Sutty-Dan here, with Disco included, for the race at this stage, but it's not. It's for Dan to put a lap on him. Dan's had it relatively easy. When luck's on your side, it goes for you, doesn't it?
It does, and being out in front was exactly the right place to be, because, as I say, he's pulled a 30-second lead over Andy, and that's not normally relevant. Do you know what I mean? It's the situation has gotten to where they are. Do you know what I mean? But as Dan comes very close up behind Sooty and a little bit skip on the back end on that particular corner again, but he's away and clear. And,
now X-Mart's in. Now that's a strange one, because the pit window shut on the end of lap 14. Now he's retired. He's retired. He will get to race distance then, because we're on lap. He's done 16 laps, so he will get to race distance. You've got to get to 15 laps, so he will score points for 13th place. So that may be null and void X-Mart's penalty, because you can't penalise a car that's retired. Well, you can, but what can you do in terms of that one?
I tell you what, I was just thinking to myself, Little Leach and Gary have made a good effort with this to be 4th and 5th, you know.
And me and Dan said this last night about you and Nicky as well. How you optimised the Renault's ability and got the best result out of a poor situation.
Well, that's exactly what I was just thinking, really. To be fair, I had a 4th and a 6th, and I think Nicky had something very similar. He was in front of me on the second race.
You both had a 4th and a 6th, yeah.
Both had a 4th and a 6th. So, a different Group Pro, and we've had our problems here this evening. Or these drivers have had their problems, but maybe that's where maybe that's a solid. It is a solid result for the Leachies, but as I say, about the same as what ProLaps did with that Renault last night, really. Yeah,
about the same. And Gary got caught up in a turn 1 incident, don't forget, with D-Big, so did well to come back through and gain places here.
I had a first lap incident in race 2 where I did a little bit of a pirouette.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. No, but hey, good job from Gary to get this back to the front of the pack, because we have seen Gary struggle in this one. Unlike you and Nicky, who seem to still be picking up good results even with poor performance. Gary's poor performances haven't led to the results that he's wanted, and I suppose that's maybe the difference between Pro and Pro-Am, that Pro-Am might be a bit easier to get the results back. Pro, well, it's not. And it's not as easy for a reason. Excuse me, as I was mid-burp there.
Where's
nice. D-Big then? D-Big is still 12 seconds behind Gary, so that one I don't think will be done with a lap left. Dan is on the final lap of this race then, and Dan has just started the final lap. Look, there he is. So we'll come back to him. He's pretty much lapped the entire field here. The only people he hasn't lapped is I reckon, from Monkey Boy upwards. Is that Sooty back in front of Dan? Dan with a 1 minute 30 on the last lap. Dan made a mistake somewhere.
He had a moment, didn't he?
Yeah, he must have had a moment somewhere. He's made a mistake somewhere, very uncharacteristically.
He had time for one.
Well, he has had time for one.
To be fair, to park up, pop the engine out, put a new clutch in it, polish it, and put it back in again, and still be in front.
28 seconds is his gap to Andy then, as we're seeing Dan come down the final part of the track. Can Mazda get D-Biggs? That gap's 5 seconds. Will Sooty get on the back of Mazda? They will get one last lap, because that's Sooty in front. Now, the interesting thing here for me is...
Sooty's round.
Yeah, Sooty won't get another lap. He's lost the rear of the car. But here comes Dan then. He's going to take a very dominant lights to flag victory here at the Indy Road Course. Round 5 of the season. His 3rd win of this championship.
Yes, as you said, lights to flag. Got into turn 1 first and hasn't looked back since, really. He'll probably have to watch the stream back to see how interesting the race was. But for him, it wasn't very interesting. But it's another win for Unorthodox.
Yeah, it's his 20th race win here at Simplay Motorsport and his 3rd of this season. And he's leaving last season off. He started this season off as he finished last season. Sooty will cross the line behind them for P8. Monkey Boy for P9, but I reckon Sooty may end up giving that place back. Andy coming through a final couple of corners. There is a car in front of Andy. Not quite sure who that is, who I think's just spanned. That's
hang on.
that's Peaceful and Fury. Now, what's happening there then is...
I don't know what's happened to those two, but...
Here comes Andy then for his second place. Good drive from Andy yet again. Another solid performance. Another podium for himself. Fury then in the background will take P11. Peaceful will get P12. I'm sure they'll want to look back and forget that one. BT Targa on the podium for the first time in the Pro, so a good result for him. Little Leach P3. What an effort from that man.
P4.
And teammate Gary Leach for P5. Good stuff from them guys. Disco, I think, just crossed the line for P10 as well, sorry. D-Biggs then, the man who cannot qualify for race 2. So it's Mazda, Sutty, Monkey Boy, Disco, Fury, Peaceful. I don't think we've got X-Mark because he's on a business call to qualify. So the bottom 6 cannot qualify as Biggs comes across for 6th place. Mazda for 7th, and then we already had Sutty. Fastest lap, we'll see in just a moment as Mazda crosses the line, and that is job done then. Fastest lap we await. Oh, not just Dan in the 24s, Andy as well. Dan, though, gets the 24.3 fastest lap. I will just flick through everybody to make sure that is the case. Dan then, the fastest lap of this race. So it's Dan from Andy, from BT Targa, Little Leach, Gary, D-Biggs, Master Sutty, Monkey Boy, Disco, Fury, Peaceful, X-Mart retired and completed the 3/4 distance. Then we'll be right back in just a moment with race 2 and qualifying 2. Top 6 cannot qualify, so it's going to be an interesting one, and we're going to see who's going to have the best of it. We'll be back in about 5-10 minutes.
Getting hype when I aim up, elevating that game up, stepping up to the competition. Only first place, and that's how I'm living. I'm with it till they digging up my grave, eating all the things up on my plate. Game face when I step up into place. I was born and when I watched me elevate. I was born and when I watched me elevate. All in when I show up, whole place about to blow up. Superior to that competition. I'm in first place, yeah, that's how I'm living. I'm with it till they digging up my grave, eating all the things up on my plate. Game face when I step up into place. I was born and when I watched me elevate. When I watch me elevate. I was born and when I watch me elevate. I was born and when I watch me elevate.
Broken dreams in my pocket, golden thing round my neck like a locket. Carve your name in my mind, 'cause you caught it. bodies lay on the carpet. Eye to eye, glistening. No, I saw it. I saw it. You're golden, golden. Honestly, you know it. Me under the street light at the end, so I could show you. You're golden, golden. Honestly, you glow it. Me under the mezzanine, just so that I could show you. You're golden. You're golden. You're golden. You're golden. Golden. You're golden. Yeah, you're golden. You know it. Yeah, you're golden. Golden, golden. Honestly, you know it. Me under the street or at the end, so I could show you. Golden, golden. Honestly, you know it. Me under the golden. You're golden. Golden.
90s soft, anything over 100 hard, black and white.
We're gonna go live in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, to the round 6 of the season. The second race of tonight. Mazda has sadly had to come away for the evening, and we hope to have him back next week then. But we have got the top 3 in the commentary box with us, BT Targa, Andy and Unorthodox, your race winner. But the top 6 who cannot qualify for this race are Unorthodox, Andy, BT Targa, Little Each, Gary and D-Biggs. Everybody else is free to qualify for this one then. And looking at the championship standings, Dan now extends that lead to 22 points from Andy in second place, with Fury staying third but tied with Disco and Gary 131 for P3, so it's all close here with BT Targa and Mazda only 2 and 3 points. Andy Biggs actually 3 points off the back as well, so it is really tight for third place at the minute. Little Each is P9 with Jamie down in 10th, Xmart 11th, Beatsville 12th, Sooty down in 13th, Monkey Boy 14th, Phil 15th and Liam in 16th place. Shake and Bake are 19 points clear of Slingshot Motorsport, with the Leachy Losers going up to P3. They're great round for them. Team Prolapse dropped to 4th, Ibra Racing dropped down to 5th, GQ Motorsport 6th, Wakasaki Racing 7th and Run Flat Racing are in 8th place. We'll start tonight though with BT Targa, and not a bad way to get your first podium in the Pro Series, really, is it? You're starting to get to grips with the Porsche, it looks like.
Yeah, I'm getting there, Matt. It's definitely still seems a bit of a long road to maybe get on Dan's pace, that's for sure. But I'm getting there. I was nursing a little bit of damage from the first corner incident, which was obviously just couldn't be helped, and I couldn't avoid. But yeah, it's a tricky car, the Pulse. Like, I was really at home in the Merc, but yeah, I'm getting there, mate. But yeah, I'm well pleased with the podium, and congrats to Dan and Andy. First and second, they was flying, them two.
Yeah, you got the undercut on Andy in the pits, nice job, and then Andy just seemed to have so much more pace to get past you. It looked relatively easy. It didn't seem like you fought it too much in terms of you knew that Andy, that wasn't your fight sort of thing.
Yeah, to be honest, I knew I couldn't put. If it would have been like maybe the last 1 or 2 laps, I might have tried my hardest to, but I knew I wasn't going to hold on to him, and I'd rather at least keep the points and the podium, you know, in the bag really. So I was quite happy for him to move on and just let me go at my own pace. So yeah, no, I'm really pleased with it, mate. Really pleased.
What can you do for race 2, starting from by the back?
Yeah, I'm hoping to keep maybe no damage this time, and maybe feel my way out. I'd love to be in the top 5. I'd like to be battling with them guys again. If I can get there, I'll be really pleased.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, buddy.
Cheers, man. Thanks.
Well done, buddy. And Andy, it's another podium this season. It's going quite well for you in this BMW at the minute.
Yeah, I didn't expect P2 after the qualifying session. Qualifying was horrible. Didn't really have any pace at all. So switched the setup, went back to my old reliable from last week, and that seemed to be giving me a bit more joy. Still took a while to get into a rhythm. Just got a bit lucky in the first few laps, managed to avoid the crashes that were going on around me. I saw Sutty and Disco have a bit of a ding dong, and then Disco spun out. Then I think Sutty spun off, Fury went somewhere, I don't know. Just managed to pit my way through, ended up in P2, and from there kind of felt a bit comfortable, but then pit stops rolled around, and all of a sudden my pit crew decided to put fresh tyres on the car. I hadn't asked them to do that. Very kind of them to oblige, but I didn't really fancy the extra long time in the pit stops. But yeah, so that took a while. Then headed out behind BT, managed to win him in. I think he had a bit of damage on the car, so that was lucky there. And from there, did actually find a little bit of confidence, which I had been not really there in the qualifying. I actually got some reasonably decent pace in. I think I was in the 24s by the end of the race, but couldn't match Dan. Dan was unstoppable, so big congrats to Dan. He had some incredible pace here tonight, and that's understatement there. Can't really emphasise how quick he was in that race, to be fair.
Well, what can you do to get close to Dan in this second race tonight? 'Cause if he looks that quick, and I said the same to Kieran Argent last night about Mace Gamer. What can you do to get close to Dan in this second race?
Honestly, it's about having the gap as little as it can be, so that if Dan makes a mistake or if something happens in the race, then I can sort of be close to him. Because in that previous race that you saw just there, the gap was too big to even contemplate being close to him. Even if he had spun 5 times, he still would have been in the lead. So I need to try and keep consistently close to his pace. It would be unrealistic for me to imagine I can go quicker than him in this race. He's just got so much pace, but if I can just be close to him, then who knows what might happen.
Well, we'll let you get back to it, Andy. Best luck, mate.
Good luck.
Dan, as well, third victory of the season, 20th victory in total here at Simplay Motorsport. You're gaining on Jamie Brazier's total of 22. Wasn't easy, though, from the start, was it? Because Disco and Sutty looked like they made it a bit hard at the start.
No, I didn't really get the start that I wanted. I bogged down a little bit, and Disco actually had the jump on me down into turn 1. We rubbed doors a little bit, but we gave each other space, and out of nowhere, this black and green Lamborghini comes flying down the inside. And I'm like, oh God, had to check up, go wide, and somehow me and Suddy managed to get through, and then him and Disco had an incident later on in the lap, and didn't really see anyone else after, to be fair. Got quite lucky in that race.
How was the traffic for you in that one? Because I said on commentary to Kelly that, you pitting early, could it play in your favour? Or will the fact that there's that much lap traffic around with everybody pitting and missing pit windows and stuff, did it affect you much going through your lap, or...?
Not really. I had one incident with Peaceful coming into the pits, but other than that, it wasn't really... Peaceful didn't really hold me out as much. I think he just misjudged the communication between me and him, so it's fair. But not really. I had a moment as well with Sutty, but other than that, the rest of the drivers were clean, they were fair, they gave me the space, so I was quite happy with the way things were. And yeah, I had one spin, I think, out of the night, which was at the end, and other than that, it kind of went to plan, really. Pole, fastest lap, and race win, so I can't complain at that.
You start down in P11 for this next race. What is the plan from there?
Well, just try and stay out of harm's way at the start and try and just pick my way through bit by bit. I know I got race pace, slightly cooler conditions, so I don't know if the tyres will be the same, but we'll see what happens. We'll go through, and me and Bix will try and make our way through.
Best luck with it.
Good luck.
Cheers, thank you.
Disco there then, Kelly, a 24.2. He's really set the pace as Fury just goes up into P3. Sutty there, I noticed you brought up a screen. 2-place grid penalty for himself, speeding in the pit lane.
Before he even got out of the pit lane. So, he obviously a little bit hot on the accelerator, didn't put his pit lane limiter on. Other than that, as you see, Disco setting the pace, 24.2, that's respectable. Nearly a second back is Fury from Disco, so not that it's going to matter, but Fury yet to find that ultimate pace, isn't he? But yet
to get into the 24s. I think he just got in it in practice, if I remember, but yet to be there in the session where it counts the minute. 9/10 off the back of Disco. It's going to be hard for Fury to gain 9/10. He really needs to nail the lap, and at the minute he's not on a better one this time around. No one is in fact on a better one. Sorry, actually no, I'll tell you what.
Do it.
No, it wasn't. I was just about to say Fury's gone quicker in the middle sector, and he's just ruined
That'll be the end of that.
Yeah, well, he's going to come out, but I don't think he's got time to get out of that pit lane and get a lap in. So it is just Peaceful, Sooty, Monkey Boy on the track then to get a lap in. X-Mart is still with us now. I wonder if X-Mart is going to try and get into this race here. I know he had a business call, but I'd have thought he'd have left the session instead of just retiring. So is X-Mark going to try? He'll be qualifying 10th. So he's actually gave Andy, D-Biggs, Little Leach and Gary a bit of a boost here by being in the pits and qualifying. The 5 that are qualifying are still out there. Sooty has just gone into second place. Fury's out the pits. Look like it took Fury 30 seconds to get from pit box to out the pit lane. It's safe to say I don't think Fury has the time to get a lap in.
Very
interesting though. Sooty only needs 3/10 and we'll keep an eye on his lap time.
Yeah, but he's got a 2-grid penalty. Obviously fueled by Stella Artois at the moment, and flying with it. Look at him hanging it out there. That was Larry. Even if he does go quicker, he's got a 2-position grid penalty to serve at the end of this. So we'll see what he can do.
We will.
As you say, Fury's probably just getting a bit more time on track, but he's not going to get round to put in a better lap than this.
Oh, Sooty, big wiggle there.
That's the end of that. Yeah.
Peaceful, just as he was quicker through sector 1. Peaceful has just gone a bit better, I think. 1.4 down, it says here. It's green on my phone, so that's telling lies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is he going for a last attempt? Because he got over the line in time as the clock ticks to 0.
He's got to be. Can he get it above Fury? So that is done. So Sooty is out there, so is Monkey Boy. Let's try and jump back to them and see where they are, see if they can improve. So Sooty Apex will be the first to finish, and then it will be Monkey Boy. I think Fury's come back into the pit lane, so we'll keep note. Monkey Boy's pitted as well. Will Sooty get it onto that front row? No, he won't. So it is just Peaceful Explosion to watch now. What can he do from his position?
Yeah.
Oh, he has binned it. So he's binned it off then. So that is qualifying 2 done then. The 10-minute session is up. And for Peaceful Explosion, it'll be a 3rd place in the end because Sooty will get that grid penalty to promote Peaceful and Fury up to the front row. But it's Disco McDiscoface who will get himself a P1, a first pole position of the season, and I'm sure he will absolutely take that. He'll snap your hand off at that one for him. Then Fury as well on the front row of the grid. That's going to be an interesting one to keep our eyes on from Sooty in 3rd. Peaceful in 3rd, Sooty in 4th, Monkey Boy 5th, then Gary, Little Leach, D-Biggs, Andy, X-Mart not qualifying. We hope he can race on Orthodubs, and BT Targa at the back. Dan then, with no Mazda in this one, so it's a bit shorter for Dan in terms of he's not got one car to get past in Mazda. What can Dan do from this position, and who's your money on for this race?
Who's my money on? I think if Disco can keep it together, he's got pace. He had an unfortunate race 1. I think Disco's got a really good chance of this, but don't discard Dan just because he's in 11th. You know what kind of form he's on at the moment. He seems to be golden balls right at the moment, doesn't he? So I wouldn't discount Dan, but my money's on Disco.
No,
What do you think?
Yeah, I think Disco as well. I think if Disco keeps it on the track in the right way, I think Disco's the man to watch as well. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that one. Get your predictions in as well for who you think's going to win this race. And this one is going to be a fascinating one to watch here, if you ask me. I have a feeling we could see the drama's not done, I think, Kelly. I don't think that the fireworks have ended just yet. Maybe not. And now you've said that, probably the complete opposite will happen. And it will be dull as ditch water. But I don't know. That first race couldn't have been any duller, really, could it? No, it was like watching Pro-Am. It was like watching Pro-Am on a bad night, to be fair. Pro-Am was very, very good last night. Fury had all his wheels connected. There is that. Yeah. But like Peaceful said in that mid-session break, what is it with Fury on this track? He always seems to spin and lose it, and he did it again. And let's see what can happen then as these drivers are syncing up and getting ready to go. We are just currently awaiting them to start and to be underway. Yeah, they're probably all just checking their fuel and their pit strategies and doing their routine ready to go. That's what I do anyway. Check, make sure I've got enough fuel, make sure I'm happy with my pit strategy,
And and here we go.
Yeah.
Looks like everyone's ready.
Yeah.
So we're about to get going.
Lights coming on Disco Fury, Gary's car, and a few others then choosing not to. We have lost X-Mark from this race, so he will not take part. But we're green here. Great start from Disco. Good start as well from Sooty Apex.
Yeah.
And is he going to look to send one again up the inside? That's BT Targa, who looks like he's got away relatively well. Fury and Sooty then. Fury's coming back at him here as the two teammates are Peaceful and Monkey Boy are squeezing each other out wide. Sooty not sending one on Disco this time and getting around the outside. Oh, Fury's tapped Sooty round. Manages to get back going though. Left out that carnage and Sooty's lost it now. And that's one of the Porsches into the side of Gary 131 there.
Yeah, I don't know which Porsche that is. Is that...
I'm not sure if it was
know.
Dan or D Biggs, but it was one of the two that got into the side. Disco from Peaceful from Fury, Gary, D Biggs, Andy. Have we lost another driver there? Yeah, we've had a retirement. I'm not sure who the retirement is.
No, nor am I for a minute. Fury got out of that reasonably unscathed as he was being nudged down sideways.
We only had the 11 cars. That's X-Mark who's in the pit, because we lost Mazda, didn't we? So we are down to 12 runners, now down to 11 with X-Mark retiring. Sorry, Kelly.
I was saying that Fury got away with that because he got tapped round sideways but managed to put it all back together and sort out from there. So Andy and Dan close.
And having a
Dan
good scrap
all over
here.
the back of Andy. Andy saying some lovely words about Dan and his pace this evening, because Dan has got cracking pace. But this is exactly where Andy needs to be, in front of Dan, so he can start bringing this championship his way a little bit.
And look at the run that Andy got through that final corner onto the back of D Biggs and kind of left Dan a little bit there. So either way, this is interesting to see here. Andy now attacking D Biggs more than he was Dan. Dan trying to go with him. Jamie saying Sooty in the chat. I don't know what that's in relation to, but Andy up the inside of D Biggs. D Biggs gives him plenty of room, and Andy gets that job done. D Biggs still fighting his way up there though, and Andy sticks it around the outside, and D Biggs couldn't get that one done. Great move from Andy there then, and D Biggs now under pressure from his teammate just behind. And are we going to see teammates tapping each other again like we saw last night and a few weeks ago?
Oh, yeah. Track limits there, boys. Behave yourselves.
All getting very close to the track limits in the background.
They're coming back at Andy.
They are coming back at Andy. They've got a great run through the chicane, and here comes Dan to try and make it 3 wide. Andy has that inside line though. Dan not really anywhere to go, and Andy Plato S trying to get it stopped on the apex. Biggs looking for the cutback. Andy will be up the inside, and Biggs has gone right round the outside of him. So job done for D Biggs back in front of Andy then, and Dan there just having to get onto the brakes as Andy was slow into the corner.
That was lovely from D Biggs. Cut back on that slippery corner and made it work round the outside. That was a beautiful move from D Biggs, but it's not done yet because Andy's still there. Dan's trying to go round the outside.
Oh, bit of a tap.
Towards the end. Yeah, just rubbing door handles. No harm done in my opinion.
No.
Just a bit of rubbing's racing. And he goes a bit deep onto the grass. This is definitely a hell of a scrap.
This is a hell of a scrap. You don't want to be on the outside because you don't want to get forced into that wall, and Dan's managed to get a run then on Andy, and down the start straight they both come. There's D Biggs in just in front. Andy will have that inside line. Dan's been able to come across and cover it, and D Biggs thought about covering his teammate but chooses against it, and now Dan's up the inside of D Biggs, and I tell you what, they got a bit close there for me, and they're getting a bit close now with Dan and D Biggs, and Dan's still holding that inside line, and through he goes now. Does Andy try and follow it up the inside? He does, because D Biggs can't come across. I think he tried it, but we didn't quite get to see that one, and Andy still side by side with Biggs. They're still rubbing doors, they're still going, and Andy not really with anywhere to go, but giving that place back to D Biggs as he comes across the chicane.
Yes, indeed, as you're right, he didn't have anywhere to go there really, so better to avoid an accident. Now Dan's on the back of Gary already. Biggs.
He's had a huge wobble just where he did it a lap ago, where he made that beautiful move on Andy. Definitely in the space of a lap.
Yeah, and he's now got BT for very close. As BT nearly gets into the back of it,
and now look, Sooty's got a run
coming up the inside of BT. So it's all go here. But we've also got Dan's already done Gary. We missed that one. I was about to jump over to that, but Dan had got Gary done already. Gary won't be happy about that. He won't be happy that Dan's passed him, especially in the twisty stuff. But don't worry, Gary. That car will come to you. It will come to you. I do hope so.
Andy then gaining on the back of Gary here, and this could be over and done with pretty quickly. And as Sutty is also looking to chase down D Biggs. There you see Little Each in the background. What has happened to Monkey Boy? Because he is way down at the minute. Nobody's pitted yet. The pit window has just opened on lap 4 then, so everybody can pit us from now till lap 14. And Sutty on the brakes trying to get past us. Andy getting close to Gary once again. The 3 leaders are quite a way up the road from Dan. Then he's got 4 seconds, 3 seconds to get to Peaceful Explosion, and Dan's got to use that portion and get ahead and pull away from these guys and get onto the back of Fury, Disco and Peaceful Explosion. And there's Disco leading this race quite comfortably as well. But here comes Andy looking to make a move on Gary then down the back straight. Here he comes. He's up the inside into the tricky corner. Sutty having a look at D Biggs as well.
Sutty in the background as well. Yep, Andy does it. He's got it done into that tricky corner and keeps it all together. Let's go back to what Sutty's doing. Has Sutty got Biggs? No, he hasn't yet, but he's all over him like a cheap suit as they come through these S's. And so yeah, Andy's got the job done. He's lost two and a bit seconds now to Dan in all that scrapping, so he's got to get back on the back of him. Dan's chasing Peaceful, and Peaceful's holding station in 3rd place, but it's they're all still close. BT coming back on this one as well. BT coming back into contention at the back of Sutty, and he's going to dive into the pits. Second man in the pits, because Fury's in as well.
Yeah, Fury and BT Target into the pits, and that will release Dan into P3. So Dan, with a bit more clear air, what can he do? Is Gary as well pits from where he was?
Yes, indeed. So these guys, where are we? Gary, there we go. Gary's pit. Reasonable pit there by the looks of it.
Yeah, is he going to get the jump on Fury there? I don't think Fury got...
Yeah.
No, Fury's just got away. Fury didn't get a great pit stop there, it looked like. He looked like he was held for a while, and that's not what Fury wants. BT looks like he's had a good stop because he's already on his way out as well then. As here comes Unorthodox then, 1.2 to the back of Peaceful Explosion as Monkey Boy's in. Monkey Boy are way down at the minute, and here comes Unorthodox towards Peaceful Explosion. There is Andy in the background, down to 11 runners, but this man currently comfortable, 4.7 seconds out in front from Peaceful Explosion. Fury's out the pits. Gary will soon be out the pits as well, as will BT Targa, and Monkey Boy looks like he's going to end up a lap down.
Yes, indeed. And Fury, first man who's done his pit, so he's first of the pit stops that's done. He was running in second when he pitted, so let's see how that pans out for him as we go on through the race. But Dan's chasing down Peaceful. Can he chase Disco down? He's got plenty of time as well, hasn't he?
Yeah,
plenty of time to catch.
Now, Sutty and D Biggs' battle's over because D Biggs has decided to pull it into the pits at the end of this lap. Sutty, I don't think, followed him in. No, he didn't. Look, Sutty's there in the background. So D Biggs has chose to get that the overcut on Gary. I'm sure Gary will get that one back done because he looked like he was comfortably ahead of D Biggs before the round of pit stops. I imagine Fury will as well. And look at that, that's Monkey Boy a lap down after he's pitted. Now we haven't seen why he's fell so far behind. For the lap down he is at the minute. And Dan really putting the pressure on the back of Peaceful. He has, hasn't he? He's putting the pressure right on Peaceful now.
Reeled him right in a couple of corners. I didn't think he was that close as they went into turn 1, and then Dan just kind of reeled him in on those corners. He's never going to get him before this corner, is he?
I don't think so. No.
No, he ain't going to get him yet, but it'll be done by the end of the lap, I think. Oh, I don't know. Dan is going round the outside.
Yeah, he's done him on the brakes. Peaceful there. Very twitchy on the braking zone. And I mean, that's where I've struggled with the Merc in the practice this week. D Biggs is out the pits and has Gary's just got past him on the timing screen. But Dan then up into P2 and 6 seconds behind Disco. What can he do about clearing him now as he looks to get his 21st race win here? Dan flying at the minute. D Biggs on the back of Gary 131 and just ahead of BT Targa. BT now was closer to that. It was closer than that to D Biggs, but it's just lost out maybe since the pit stops. Sutty now up to 5th. He's got a bit of clear air to hunt Andy down. I wonder what that progression is going to be like, as Andy is not really gone with Dan to get... that'll be why he's not gone with Dan to get Peaceful Explosion. He's gone in the pits at the end of lap 6 then. So he's in for his stop, and that releases Sutty up into P4, and he can hunt Peaceful down, who is trying to hunt Dan down still.
He's trying to stay with Dan. He's within a second of him, or he was. That second gap's just been broken. You can see that the Merc was quick down the straights, because as I said, he was keeping that 1 second gap to Dan, but as soon as Dan gets into the twisty stuff, he's just dropped quickly. He's dropped Peaceful.
Indeed, he has, and that's where I've been struggling down towards this corner in the Merc this week with braking, and the S's I've struggled with the Merc as well, so I don't know if Peaceful's having similar problems, but that looks to be the case. Now, with all this means it has Dan got an overcut on Fury. Oh, I tell you what, that didn't look great through there. It looked like he was about to lose the rear of the car as he come through the S's there.
That's on the back of that tricky corner. The S's can be a little bit loose through the S's, depending on. I obviously haven't driven the Porsche around here, but excuse me, it can be a little bit. As Gary is within a second of Andy.
Andy's just come out of the pits, hasn't he?
Andy's just getting up to speed. Andy's last lap at 1:47, obviously because of his
pit stop. Yep. Dan's in.
Dan's in the pits.
Dan's in then at the end of lap 7. So this is where we'll see if Fury has got the undercut done on Dan, or has Dan just done enough to get it done on him. Sutty is also in at the end of lap 7 then. So this one will also...
pit stop for
I've seen better from them guys. I've seen better.
Yeah, definitely.
I think Dan may have Fury covered though. Where's Dan?
I think he has.
He's still a million miles away, to be fair. I'm not so sure actually. I'm going to say Fury's got Dan back here because Dan's still got a million miles up to go till he
sees. But Fury's only now coming round the last corner. I don't know. It's going to be close.
Look at the speed Fury's up to. Dan's doing 37 mile an hour. Fury's doing 100 mile an hour more than Dan and some. There goes Fury. Sails past Dan. So Dan maybe could have done with a few extra laps and to get that overcut. Sutty then, has he jumped Andy here? That's an interesting question. I don't think... Has Andy done Dan? The undercut may have worked for Andy here. No.
Not quite.
But it's closer.
It's closer, yes, definitely.
A lot closer indeed. Dan then... Oh, and a wiggle there for Dan as well. Oh, now...
Yeah.
Now then, he had a wiggle. He had a wiggle on his in lap. He's had a wiggle on his out lap. Dan then just maybe starting to struggle a little bit with his colder temperatures. He said in his interview, does that agree with the BMW more than the Porsche? Have his tyres just dropped off a little bit?
He's all getting a bit Lewis, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, me tyres, and then goes and does the fastest lap, stuff like that. Peaceful
Explosions brought it into the pits. Let's see what kind of stop he will have in terms of coming in and out. Don't forget Dan was ahead of Peaceful, so we expect Fury to jump Peaceful easily. We expect Dan to maybe jump Peaceful. We'll have to see in terms of stops. Peaceful's pit lane is a lot further down than what Dan's was. In, done, out, not quite yet, gone now. So not a bad stop for Peaceful there. As there goes Little Each. Dan's coming, no, that's Fury coming around, and Dan's just behind them. Dan, I think Peaceful could find himself losing a lot more places than just on orthodox.
He could end up being maybe even 8th.
Yeah, possibly so, because there's Fury, there's Dan, there's Andy, there's Gary, there's D Biggs, there's BT Targa, there's Sutty Apex. Dan's already,
Peaceful?
He's just coming off the pit limits now, so he's lost out to Dan, he's lost out to Andy, Gary's through, D Biggs is through, BT Targa, I think he's got covered off.
Yeah, the only one he did have. So, poor old Peaceful was running in such a high position, has been mugged by this lot, hasn't he?
Really has. He really has. Dan now back up into 4th with Andy 5th and Gary 6th. D-Biggs up to 7th place. And Peaceful, who was running 3rd before the pit stops, he's now down in P8. So he's really been not the beneficiary of the pit stops here. Disco has a 30-second gap over Little East. He's 39 seconds clear of Fury. You'd imagine he'd come out. We've bought a brand new car, a Porsche 911, says Iron Brew Racing in the chat. Not sure what that's about. 26 people watching the stream though. And how many thumbs up do we have on it? We only have 21. So guys, girls, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe.
23 on my screen.
Oh, 22. 23? 22 it says on my screen now, so I'm not sure what that is. But guys, girls, if you haven't hit that thumbs up button, do so as Little Each comes into the pits at the end of lap 9 then, so it is just Disco yet to pit. And look at this gaggle of cars here. Dan has started to drop Andy.
Yes, we're on board with D Biggs. You can see that's Gary just in front of him, the back end of that RS Renault, and in front of him is Andy as they all start to trundle past Little Each, who's in the pits, and D Biggs going quicker. Look at the Porsche starting to reel that Renault in down the straight. The Porsche is definitely a quicker car, but it is a more trickier thing to drive. So, but Gary knows it well, and Gary keeping reasonable pace with Andy. He's within a second of him, isn't he?
He is within a second of him. This is a good little battle for Gary. This is Disco then. These have all just pretty much started their lap. Disco is into the pits at the end of lap 10, so this should relatively, you'd imagine for Disco, this would be an in and out sort of job before Fury's even got round. Oh, now
that's
this.
Biggs up the side.
Yeah, that's round the outside. We saw him get a good cut back here on Andy earlier. He didn't get it out. Oh, he made a mistake on the exit to the corner, so just running over the grass. That'll bring Peaceful and BT Targa back into it, but he's having a look at Gary. Now, Disco is already on his way out the pits, and Fury is only just coming towards the final corner. Let's just... Yeah, there's Fury. Look, Dan trying to get on the back of Fury. There's Dan in the background. And Disco is pretty much, before we can even see Fury, look in the background, you'll see Fury in a minute. Well, there he is. As Disco is about to come off the pit limiter, Disco, I think, he's just seen Dan come on, hasn't you?
I think
Disco's
got close enough, you know.
It'll be close, but I think Disco's got the job.
He has got the job done, you're quite right, but with about 3 or 4 seconds, which is probably somewhere around where it was. No, he had about 6 in there originally before Fury.
No, it was about 4 seconds to Fury. I think it was 6 after Fury pitted to Peaceful. No, it's about right to Fury. So no, it's about hold station really. That has 6 seconds to Dan. Crucially, that's the big thing for Disco.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see what Dan can do from here. Is it 9 laps to go? Is it amounting too high for unorthodox?
Look at the run. D Biggs has got his nag onto the inside line of Gary as well, and that's already job done before the braking zone. So Gary here, helpless in a straight line. What can he do in terms of the braking zone? Get the cutback maybe? He has done as well. Yeah, lovely move. That is... Who's that? That's Monkey Boy staying out the way.
Yeah, he's done D Biggs' move back on him, you know, so cut to the inside and got it done.
He has indeed, and what a lovely manoeuvre. What a way to do it as well. Maybe that's why Gary didn't fight Biggs too hard down the straight then, as Disco then has lost a bit of time to Dan and Fury then. The gap's just come down slightly, and D Biggs having another look at the inside. Gary just gives him enough space and keeps his line.
Good driving from these two, good clean driving. They both know their way around. They're both D Biggs is Mr. Consistent normally, and Gary's 2-time champion, so these guys both know how to drive. As D Biggs having another go, he's got the inside and he's got the run down. This might be job done permanently this time, and he's dropped these two a little bit because they were a bit closer to Andy, and they've dropped BT.
He hasn't.
Who's got in front of Peaceful.
He hasn't done him. Look, I thought D Biggs would have him done, and he hasn't done him. Gary done him round the outside on the brakes. Also, just to note, look at behind. BT Targa's got himself ahead of Peaceful Explosion, and that is put Peaceful back down to 8th as Monkey Boy's dreaded night keeps getting worse at the minute. He's back into the pit lane then after his earlier stop, and is a lap down as it is at the moment as well. But on to lap 12, and Fury's 2 seconds behind Disco with Disco face. Dan 4. Andy 9 seconds, so this could get interesting towards the end of this one. These two are having a good scrap for 5th and 6th here. Gary just missing his apex at the bottom of the circuit pretty much.
Have I mentioned that corner's tricky?
Once or twice. I don't think any more than once or twice, to be fair, Kelly. Gary doing bits. Join us tomorrow night live. Hopefully we can get the Indy cars underway. We hope to get the season underway. If not tomorrow, we may have to postpone till a later date and do IndyCars at a later date and get something else being ran. Otherwise, we'll be back Monday night for Alton Park Fosters in the Renault Clio Cup, and we'll be back next Wednesday at my home circuit, Donington Park. Cannot wait.
I'm enjoying practicing that one. The Renault is it's one of those tracks where I think the Renault might do very well. So it'd be interesting next Thursday to see how the Leachies get on with it.
And that's a track that Gary always goes well at. He seems to always go well at Donny.
And it seems to be quite suited. And look at BT, he's reeling these two in, you know. He's back within a second of these two.
He is. And speaking of Donny Kelly, we're there next week, and then 2.5 weeks after that, we're actually there. We're actually there for the touring cars. And we are
actually there.
Sweet and Sticky will be at Donington Park, not just over the headset, for real.
We'll actually be there.
Move aside Tim Harvey and I can't remember the commentator's name.
We're going to push him out the com box and show him exactly how it's done.
Sweet and Stickier in your box on a Sunday afternoon. So if you hear us live on ITV4 that Sunday the 10th of October, if you hear me and Kelly live on commentary that day, you'll know that we've pulled a few strings.
I don't know if the powers that be at ITV will be quite that happy to be us representing the Sweet and Sticky in your box. Just looking at the leaders very quickly, Matt, Dan is getting closer to Fury, but more importantly, Fury's
getting closer to Disco. Yeah, just noticed that now you've said it. Fury really starting to reel Disco in. Disco looks like he made a mistake on the last lap. Look, because Fury took back consistency. Fury was 2,000 slower than his best lap. So heck, consistent that is. And Disco lost a second to these boys over the last one. Andy as well trying to get with these boys as well. So I wonder if Disco starts to hold Fury up, if Fury starts to hold Dan up, whether this will allow Andy to get back onto this one with 6 laps to go. As
I tell you what, Matt, it's a bit like some of the Formula One races you watch. The battles really start to heat up just as you're into the last quarter of the race. Do you know what I mean? And you think to yourself, is there enough laps for this to get tasty? Because these three get on the same bit of tarmac, there's going to be some cracking racing.
Speaking of battles hotting
up
as
well, you know.
Yeah, speaking of battles hotting up, sorry Kelly, go back to Gary, because BT has got himself on the back of D-Biggs. D-Biggs looks like he's lost out to Gary at some stage in this race. Peaceful and Sooty in the background as well. Look, they're having a little dogfight here for P8 and 9. But BT Tog has certainly put himself in this three-way battle, or has made it a three-way battle, should I say. As Jamie's saying, don't disrespect David Addison. David Addison, that's his name. Forgot his name. Can never remember his name.
He's so memorable.
Yeah. Remember Ben Edwards, but couldn't remember David Addison's name. I used to like Ben Edwards.
Yeah, I like Ben Edwards.
Not on F1, but on the touring cars, I thought Ben Edwards was brilliant.
We didn't have Tim Harvey in the last one, did we? We had Paul O'Neill, didn't we? Is that because Paul O'Neill is... I know Tim was racing in the Porsche, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was racing in the Caymans.
Sooty getting very close to... who is he getting close to?
Peaceful. Yeah, so Peaceful's night is just getting from bad to worse, because he was third at the beginning of this race, and then after the pit stops he's battling for P9 here as Dan's getting closer to Fury then. Disco being able to just extend his gap, and Fury's dropped it. Fury's dropped the car. And that is a shame, as Michael Connolly, also known as Self Sloth, the steaming Sooty lunge, he says in the chat. But Fury has dropped the rear of the car there, and that has allowed Dan into P2. What a shame, because Fury was on for a good podium there in that one. Now look at this battle for 5th, 6th and 7th. Gary D-Biggs, PT Targa, they're both gaining on Gary. That Renault has nothing in a straight line, and look at the three of them. Gary's gone defensive already. Pure Motorsport, David Addison is a million times better than Crofty. That I will agree with. As Gary then. Yeah, I don't like Crofty. I don't like Crofty.
I like Crofty.
Fair enough.
Each their own.
Yeah, Gary defends from D-Biggs there, and BT Targa looking very racy at trying to get into a top 5. Matt and Kelly should go live on Facebook and commentate on the BTCC race there. Why not? We'll do half a lap.
Doing that before.
Yeah, we'll do half a lap, seeing as we don't get to see the full thing. D-Biggs looking up the inside of Gary, can't get the job done. BT, I feel, is just being a little patient here while D-Biggs attacks Gary. I just feel like he's backed off a bit. Let them two have a fight.
Well, yes, that's all well and good.
Sooty's done peaceful.
That's all well and good, but the laps are counting down as Peaceful goes. Sooty goes a little bit deep, but I think that's job's done. So Dan is now within 2 seconds of Disco, but not close enough for me to be worried about it, because
here comes
this is the battle.
Yeah, we can't quite see it, but D-Biggs, he's round! Did him and Gary make contact? But Gary's off. D-Biggs has lost a place. Gary's lost a place, and a man who's gained 2 is BT Targa, and Gary now has to struggle. We didn't see the D-Biggs Gary incident, but what has happened there?
You called it. D-Biggs just, BT just holding station, waiting for something to happen, and it certainly did on lap 16. It happened, but Gary hasn't given it up yet, has he?
He hasn't given up, and we've seen that Renault round the outside here is better on the brakes, just as we cut to Dan. What's happened to Disco?
I don't know. He's lost it or something. We didn't cut back quick enough, but Disco, I don't know. I don't know what happened there, but Dan was in front of him. I don't know if he lost it or... Doesn't seem to be any damage on Dan's car, so it doesn't like they've had a...
No, Dan was... Last time I looked, Dan was a second and a half behind Disco. Gary's got back ahead of BT, so we've missed that one.
Oh, it's all going off when we're not looking, but...
BT's dropped it!
Round.
Yeah, BT's now lost it. What a shame. Oh, what a shame. PN Motorsport, we all know Murray will be forever king. Yeah, of course he will. Murray forever.
Yeah, absolutely. But for the living, nobody beats Martin Brundle. For the living. Silence. Matt Duffin, he obviously doesn't agree.
No. No. Not a Brundle fan.
You don't agree?
No, not a Brundle fan. I don't mind Brundle, but I just feel that Brundle and Crofty, they make too many mistakes. I was watching Monza last weekend, and He was calling drivers the wrong driver names, do you know what I mean? He was saying that someone was his teammate instead of the other person, and I just thought, you make too many mistakes on too regular occasion. That's why I don't like them.
I think apart from Sweet and Sticky, they're the supreme team. Apart from Sweet and Sticky, of course.
Nah, David Anderson, Tim Harvey, I think are the second best team in the commentary world.
Well, there's one we disagree on, folks.
Yeah.
I think David Addison and Tim Harvey are about as dull as ditchwater, but there you go. There we go. So,
Disco now then.
Their own.
Disco now having to defend from Fury instead of attack Dan with lap 17, just about to start lap 18 here. D-Biggs has lost out massively. D-Biggs is trying to get back on Gary. BT's lost out massively, and double win for Dan, it looks like, provided he can keep it on the track. Can Disco, though, hold his own? Now, I'd love to know what happened to Disco at the end of this one. That is for sure, because he looked like he had this one under control, and it hasn't gone his way. Now, these two have been fighting all race near enough.
Yes, indeed, they certainly have, and maybe we should start talking about driver of the day, because I know mine already.
I think I know mine as well. It's got to be. I'm going to give mine to Gary.
Yep, we agree on that at least, because mine's for Gary, and I know how tricky that Renault is around here. It's a great car. It's definitely planted to make it go quickly and to hold off D-Biggs and BT like he's been doing. They're both great drivers. They really are, and to hold them off in a car which is down on power compared to them. Yeah, Gary for me. But hey, again, feel free to disagree with us. And, let's hear your drivers of the day. Let's get them in.
Yeah, let's get him in. Get the votes in for your driver of the day. Now, me and Kelly both think Gary, because he's done a terrific job in that Renault and has pulled off some good moves. The same as D-Biggs. He's pulled off some terrific moves as well. Dan now 2.5 seconds up the road from Disco. Fury still trying to get on the back of him as they're coming around to start lap 19. Disco slow! And Fury gets a run on Disco. And Fury then has got that one done. Alex Jackson, David Coulthard are better than Brundle and Croft, he says. Jamie.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
It seems that everyone's got their own opinion on the commentators, isn't it?
What has happened to Disco's race here? It's derailed.
It has. I wonder if his tyres are going off. You all know that Sweet and Sticky are the best. So, that goes without saying. Here goes Disco. Is he upside? Oh,
he is enough.
Close.
Fury's outbraked himself a little bit.
Yes.
There didn't look like there was contact. Disco back in front. Gary and D-Big still fights on then. Down the start straight they come. BT Targa and Sutty in the background. Peaceful has massively lost out Sutty. Here comes D-Biggs. We know the Renault is scary good on its brakes. And again, D-Biggs cannot get through. Welsh saying Dan for driver of the day. Dan's a solid shout, but I think it's a bit too easy for Dan when he's 30-odd seconds up the road. He's not really had to do anything from pole in that race. I tend to give my vote for driver of the day on drivers that have earned it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, let's not take anything away from Dan.
I'll
be the first one. I'll be the first one to shout his praises. But he's the champion, and he's the man on form. So that's what we're expecting from him. Where Gary is wringing the neck of that Renault. Trust me on this one. With D-Biggs behind you in a Porsche, he is wringing the neck of that.
Oh, now D-Biggs side by side, they make contact coming through the S's. And doesn't that look familiar from the weekend? Except it's not a Red Bull and a Mercedes, it's a Renault and a Porsche. And well, who would have been to blame?
Tyre on their head.
Yeah, nobody's landed with a tyre on their head or bouncing up a sausage curb or off a however much G at Cop's corner. Fury then goes on to the last lap of the race, trailing Disco. Can he get the job done? D-Biggs has trailed Gary in this race for the majority. It's been like this. Sutty's got past BT Targa. So what has happened to BT Targa in this one?
BT had a moment. I don't know if BT had a moment. Maybe.
Yeah, possibly.
Fury still close. Couple of great little battles still going on. Fury's going to have another go at Disco.
He is. He's going to look at the chicane, and that is not an overtaking place at all. It's just too tight without running the limits. He has lined it up. He's lined it up absolutely beautifully, and he looks to get in that slipstream and go down the start straight here. He's pulled to the wrong side. He's gone the outside, the longer way around to this first part. If he can keep it there, he'll be up the inside for the next bit. I tell you what, has he just got a nose in there? No. Disco manages to cover this one off, and Fury is running out of corners here.
Yes, indeed. He's got another opportunity. That's a bit deep, Fury. He's got another opportunity as we go into the last section, into the last couple of corners. But he's dropped off a little bit. I think Disco might have this covered, being that there's no mistakes. I better go up to the guy in the lead, haven't we?
Yeah, as they've just put another lap on Monkey Boy, and Little Each starts the final lap of this race. But it's going to be a double win for an Orthodox. 4 wins this season, and I tell you what, he's 1 win now behind Jamie Brazier. He's making it look easy at the minute. Can anybody stop him? Disco though will hang on for a P2.
Those two.
Yeah, Fury will get a P3. Andy, quiet one in this race for a P4. He's done quite well. Monkey Boy will cross the line for 11th place. I'm sure he'll come away from this weekend and he'll have to reflect. Gary, though, looks like he's managed to stay ahead of D-Biggs and get that one done. Double P5 for Gary in this race. What a job. D-Biggs 2 places for himself. That is going to be a 7th place for Sooty Apex. Questions about race 1, he's proved them wrong in race 2. BT Targa will get 8th. Peaceful Explosion will get 9th.
What could have been?
And what could have been, and we just have to wait for this man to come home P10. What a night though of racing, Kelly. What could have been for Peaceful Explosion, like you say?
Yeah, what could have been for Peaceful, and Andy not quite in this one, second one, and what could have been for Disco. We didn't see what happened, but I've got a feeling by the way the times were going that Disco just dropped it. Unfortunate. But as we see Little Leach just not the best race for Little Leach either. That was unfortunate.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. And he's really damaged the back of that car there.
Yes. Oh, yeah. He's listening to me. He's going to reverse it over the line.
I think he'd be better off reversing it over the line, because otherwise he's going to...
Well, that was the kind of suggestion that Nikki from ProLaps was saying on the Facebook page.
Yes.
If you're not on the Facebook page, come and join us and get involved. And you can see what Nikki was saying about making cars reverse around.
And fastest lap of the race again goes to Unorthodox, so a clean sweep for Dan. 2 fastest laps and 2 race wins as well for him. We are getting these drivers in for an interview, so we can hopefully get a quick final word for them. But Kelly, any final thoughts from yourself?
It was a more incident-packed race than I thought it was going to be. On this one, I didn't quite think we were going to have quite the incidents, and some great racing tonight. Do you know what I mean? Gary and D-Biggs, some great racing, and up and down the field, BT, Andy, Fury, lots of great racing, lots of great respect between these guys as well. Been a bit questionable in race 1, but we didn't quite know what happened. So, great racing, thoroughly enjoyed that.
Indeed it was. So just before the drop scores, obviously don't forget, will be recalculated after every round. So before we go tonight, Dan leading the way by 35 points from Andy. Disco's got himself into 3rd place as Andy stays 2nd. Fury then drops to 4th. Gary up into P5. BT Target is 6th with D-Big 7th. Little Each is up to 8th. Mazda's dropped down tonight. Sooty up to P10. Peaceful 11th. Jamie, big loser tonight, dropped down to P12. X-Mart's 13th. Monkey Boy's 14th. Phil 15th, and that Bozzy Boy 16th place in the Constructors. 21 points separate Shake and Bacon, Slingshot Motorsport, but have the Leachy Losers just pulled themselves back into contention tonight. Team ProLaps are 4th with Ironbury Racing 5th, GQ Motorsport 6th, Wakasaki Racing 7th, and Run Flat Racing last. Obviously that is before the drop scores are recalculated going into it, but we are joined by the top 3. Fury, that was a good fight at the end there.
Yeah, it was intense, I guess you could say. The car got a bit wiggly because of the tyres at the end, but
now, was your tyres going off there at the end?
Yeah, I was couple corners. The car didn't really want to turn in, so I kind of put the power down a bit more to get the wheels spinning to get around the corner a bit better, and it started overheating a bit. So
yeah, you lost it with Dan to being able to get through. Was you hoping to fight Dan a bit more when he was behind you?
Yeah. Haven't had a chance to properly fight Dan. The bye was probably the closest one. But
well, we go to Donington next week, mate. What can you do there?
Hopefully keep the form of trying to get podium.
Yeah. Well, best of luck, mate. We'll catch you next week.
Cheers, see you.
We've got Disco in as well, and Disco, better race too, I suppose, but that was hard work for yourself. What happened at the end? Because you looked like you had good pace early on.
It was all in control. Let's say got away great at the start. Gap open to about 7 seconds, 8 seconds on Dan. That's a pretty comfortable window. Just kept knocking out steady laps, and came in the pits. Second half of the race, different story. Tyres weren't there. took too long to come back up to normal temp, and I got maybe 2 laps of steady, and then I don't know what happened at the end, but they were just overheating. That's when Dan got past me. I just made a slight mistake out onto the grass, and he just sailed past without a whimper.
Yeah, what a shame as well.
So gutted, because I was looking forward to at least defending it.
Yeah, I was going to say.
We were. Yeah.
At one stage, Dan's the second half behind. The next thing, Kelly's cutting to him and he's in the lead. And like you say, you'd really controlled that race from the start.
That's the way. That's the way cookie crumbles sometimes. But I'm just glad it was better than race 1. Again, I felt robbed of the race with Dan because, as I say, at the start we got great side by side into turn 1, and again, like Dan said in the first interview, Sutty just came from absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
Just kind of unsettled me. I think I had a small amount of damage in the car, etc. But yeah, race 2, happy with that. Good battle with Fury at the end as well.
Yeah,
really
brilliant.
Gave me a good grilling towards the end.
Donington next week. What can you do?
Pretty confident. I say got a debut win there last year.
Yeah.
And I say I know it's the Indy or the National, but BMW's solid there.
Well, we look forward to seeing you around there, buddy. Best of luck for next week.
Congratulations to Dan and Fury, by the way. Great racing, guys.
Cheers, buddy. We've got Dan as well. Dan, 4th win of the season, 21st win in total here, and that one was harder.
Yeah, a little bit harder, but from the back, taking my time, and I honestly thought it was going to be a lot harder to fight Fury and Disco, but I put enough pressure on the pair of them for them to make just the one little mistake, and that was enough for me to go by. But no, I gotta praise Fury. He had great pace at one point. I honestly didn't think I was going to catch him at one point, but both of them, solid job. They were able to keep me at bay at times, but as soon as I started getting a little bit close enough and put pressure on them, they cracked. I had a bit of a deja vu of Brands Hatch trying to hunt down Disco and Fury.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
You solid pace all night, solid start to the season in terms of defending your title. We head to Donington. Now we know we all know what happened last season.
Yeah.
What are you hoping for around there?
The game to work.
Yeah.
I've done plenty of tests that the car is working fine, and Donington Park. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows the circuit. I know a couple of drivers who will be fast there, but it's just we've got the race lead and damage limitation. I can't really. I can't show any weakness, or else these guys will have me. Disco and Andy, especially, these two are looking very strong for mine and D-Biggs's title, and I genuinely think they could take the constructors if either one of us have a bad round. So we've got to be 110% on our game.
Well, we wish you the best luck for next week, buddy. That's all we've got time for tonight. Like I say, we hope to get IndyCar going. If not, we'll probably have to delay that one and get that one in the future, should I say, in the near future. We're back Monday Night Live, definitely with the Clio Cup round Alton Park Fosters. We're back next week, Donington Park National, for the Pro-Am and the Pro. And if there's a thunderstorm about next week, let's hope it stays for a bit of rain, to add a bit of drama that we should have had this week in the Pro-Am, but that blew by. That's all we've got time for, though. Driver of the day to Gary131 for his incredible drive tonight in that Renault. He is really dragging it along nicely, and we'll look to see what he can do next week at Donington, as well as the others. But from all of us here at Simplay, take care. Good night.
Good night.